But what this does is absolutely shoot OpenAI and Anthropic and a couple other companies directly in the foot,
Right.
or maybe even in the kneecap, because all they build is this AI product. And now Sam Altman has said multiple times, well, I'm looking forward to bringing you AGI. Okay, so now you're trying to say that $500 billion is going to get us AGI, which most scientists are like, that's not how it works. but if that's the case, great. But that means you're spending $500 billion, which is more than we spent to build the interstate highway system in the United States, to build a system that is likely going to benefit you and your company as a privately held company now, or sort of privately held, but for-profit company right now. Whereas the open source army is going to start developing new and innovative tools, and they're going to need the compute to run that as well. So we're still kind of in this resource game, which is probably why NVIDIA took a bath yesterday when all of this stuff came out, because nobody knows how many chips we're actually going to need, and NVIDIA has always banked on this $500 billion or other billions of dollars showing up asking for more and more frontier chips. Whereas now, I mean, hell, anybody that's got a 4090 or 4080 or 4070 or even 20 series lying around can probably spin up their home AI.
Right.
Doesn't even worry about buying Chatgpt anymore.
See, like the business mind in me just thinks about it like this, right? In AI, there was always a problem with monetization, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why we see these like Copilot and like Google, Facebook, all these guys kind of being able to offer AI just because they had the revenue streams from somewhere else.
Right.
So a company like OpenAI, where AI is what they do, and now even already within the last day, we've been seeing people come out and being like, "Why am I paying $200 for ChatGPT when DeepSeek is free?" Right?
Yeah.
And so you and like basically said this is a shot in the foot or even the knee. For me, from a business perspective, this feels like a shot through the gut, maybe, or the heart. Like this feels like their entire business model just got undermined, and they need to find a way to essentially either integrate like they did with like the Apple phone and find other revenue streams, or do something that can compete on the free market and become the go-to user experience or using product, right? And so it's either from my perspective, it goes like this. It goes either you are a high-end exclusive that is better than DeepSeek and you can charge that premium, right? Which frankly, right now they're not.
Right.
Like they're charging a premium, but not offering a premium product compared to the DeepSeek model. At least that's what the market is saying, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of truth to that. We can split hairs and run into nuance all day long, all we want. And like, oh, well, it's this much better in ArcAGI. It's this much better in math. It's this much, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes down to the general purpose and function that 85% of your users are actually going to be using it for, if the difference between DeepSeek for 10 cents and OpenAI for $1 is 2% performance,
right?
Everybody's going to be spending 10 cents because the fear mongering that happens with that. Oh, we're giving away all our data to China. I challenge you to find one place where you're not giving your data. Like, are you on the internet? Well, then, some data at some point has been packaged up and put into a box, and then that box has been sold by a data broker to a guy named Brad living in Nebraska who loads it on a server and doesn't pay any attention to it. And then China hacks the server and takes all the data anyway, or they just buy it legitimately.
Yeah, they just buy it for cents on the dollar.
Yeah, they just show up and say, hey, I want data on 50,000 Americans. And then they start feeding that in and start taking things apart, and they come up with more data. So oh no, China's going to steal all our data is kind of a dumb argument if you actually break it down. Like,
they're not stealing anything; they're buying. Yeah, come on.
Like they already paid for it. They don't steal anything. And sensitive data shouldn't be using that in ChatGPT anyway. So there's other models and other ways to do that. The protections are in place, and that's an important distinction to make. So the market is going to give us the answer. Is really what it comes down to. But there's a lot of speculation right now that because of what's going on, I mean, you basically just made God bleed.
Right.
This untouchable new technology that was so hard to work on. Essentially, a bunch of scientists sitting in a back room working on 5-year-old hardware just broke your shit. It's like, what are you gonna do?
Well, the thing is a couple of analogies. When I was like in some of my business classes at Davis, like they mentioned this idea of you don't have to be first, but you got to be best, right?
Yep.
And so right now, ChatGPT was first, and for in the mind's eye, like or in the zeitgeist, it seemed like a lot of people consider them the best as well.
Mhm.
Whether that was true or not to the
Right.
non-scientific folk,
Right.
it seemed like they were the best one, right? And so now it's coming to the point where they might have been first, but they're definitely not the best. And I'm not even mean best performance-wise. That can be debated by a scientist somewhere else, but best monetarily, like out of
Yeah.
pocket. And so in the reality in a consumer market, a lot of times when there's competition, it drives price down. So I'm
Yep.
interested to see where ChatGPT goes with this. If they cut their model from $200 and they admit that they're not premium anymore, or they find a way to make it premium. And from like a brand strategy perspective, it seems like you have to lean into premium.
Yeah.
Because if you kneecap your entire product line and then you basically steal the value out of your sole product essentially, now your entire company feels cheap, right? And so it
Yeah.
goes, oh, so now your stock price goes down, now your investors go down, everything kind of tanks, and so admitting that you lost is almost like the silver bullet, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's kind of like from the outside looking in, it's kind of two prongs. Like you have Sam Altman, all these things going, well, what do we do now? But another analogy from a class I took at Davis was there are certain projects that you go to venture capital, right? Things that cost about 50 million, 100 million, maybe, right? You go to venture. But there are certain projects that are so big, you go to the government. They're the
Yeah.
only ones who have money for it. And that's where this $500 billion keeps sticking in the back of my mind, where it goes, okay, maybe ChatGPT says this model is not as good as DeepSeek, but they lean into their claim that they're going to give AGI, and they go, but we will continue with a premium product in AGI, but we can only do it with $500 billion.